Hello, so today we're going to go through communication systems, which will include cabling. Okay, right, so let's get started. Now, subscribe to my channel, like my videos please. Teachers, you can visit my shop on Test, and also you can follow me on Twitter. Right, so introduction. So let's take a look at this. So what we're going to do is in this video, we're going to look at how we transmit data using a cable. We're going to explain how communication systems are used to support the internet, and we're going to investigate the different ways the data is transmitted using cable and waves. Now, so let's first of all take a look at the systems that support the internet. Now, one of them that is well known and is still used but has evolved over the years is PTSN. Now, this stands for Public Switched Telephone Network. Now, the network is a worldwide communication system which mainly consists of copper cable lines. But also now, due to the how technology has evolved, they also include fibre optic cables, microwave towers, satellite systems, and under-the-sea cables. So the telephone call is routed to its destination by one or more switching centres. And this will include mobile telephones as well, as they are routed through a PTSN switching centre. So, but this was once purely analogue system, as I think I've shown you in my lessons before, that there were people sat at desks and they would physically get cables and plug them in. Okay, but the fibre optics now carry the heaviest traffic between continents, basically. So you can telephone call anybody worldwide, basically through the internet, and you can do it for free. One time it was incredibly expensive. Now let's take a look at the dedicated line. So this is a leased line communication that can be rented from a telecom provider. So like the biggest telecom provider here is Movistar or Telefonica, and they are basically leased private links that are often used by companies who want to create a wide area network for their internal use. So these leased lines guarantee quality of service rather than relying on the internet, which has no such guarantee. So now, cellular networks. So this is basically the mobile phone infrastructure, okay? Now, they're known as cellular networks because if you take a look here, you can see these different transmission towers. So, for example, we're on the beautiful island of Gran Canaria, and there's many transmission stations here. Now, each of these base stations, your phone will be connected to, and basically they send out signals around within a radius. And these all have different frequencies, so there's no crosstalk. So the reason why they're called cellular networks is simply because each of these create a cell of waves that your phone can be connected to. Now, thinking about that, so how the mobile networks have evolved throughout the years, there's many different generations. Okay, so the first generations was purely voice communication. The second generation went digital. And then when 3G came along, which I remember myself, you could actually video call people, which really couldn't happen on your mobile phone. Skype was around and there were some forms of video calling, but 3G made it much easier. Plus you could send photos. I remember one TV advert in England where there was actually a photo of a baby that was being sent across different mobile phones. And also you could connect to the internet. Then 4G brought around smartphones. This is when everybody started to get the smartphones, which are now just a normal way of life for us. Everybody has a smartphone, and it's very unusual when you think people don't. But they allowed high bandwidth and broadband connectivity, so the internet became much faster. There were more apps that could download, and basically it's made what we have today. Now we're going to look at the different types of cabling. Okay, so transmission can include, I'm sorry, I don't know why this has happened here. Oh, okay, no, it's fine. Sorry, I just thought there was a mistake there. Okay, so can include twisted pair, coaxial, and fibre optics. So they're the three types of cabling that we're going to look at. Now, so what we're going to look at is the cost, the bandwidth, data rate, the frequency, the interference, and the need for repeaters. Okay, so that's what they're going to be looking at today. So the first one we're going to look at is the twisted pair cable. Now so the first two pairs of cable we're looking at, the coaxial and the twisted pair, are both copper cables. So these are very, very common. Okay, so they're made from two separated insulated wires that are simply just twisted together. They have problems with interference, unfortunately. So there's two types. So one of them is the shielded twisted pair, and that's used mostly in Ethernet. And then the other one is the unshielded twisted pair. Now, the unshielded twisted pair is used to prevent crosstalk because there is obviously some interference problems there. So with the copper cable, basically, we know lots about the copper cable, okay? So because it's been around a long time, so it's, you know, we're very used to it. We know about it, and you know, a lot of problems have been prevented. And it is of the lowest cost because it's been around for so long. But the problem is the bandwidth is actually lowest, and you know, to actually carry the demands for today's technology can be quite tough. So, but the worst affected for interference, and also it will need repeaters. However, due to the width of the cabling, the good thing about it is that it's very flexible. And it's universally used, so engineers have lots of knowledge on the cabling. So that's the good thing about the copper cabling. Now moving on to the coaxial. So the coaxial cable, as you can see, it's still a copper cable, but if you look at the stimuli that I have here, you can see that it's much thicker. So as I said, it is a copper cable, and unlike the twisted pair, it's not as flexible. So due to its thickness, it's actually got cladding inside it that prevents damage. So it really is excellent for carrying radio signals, and we usually use this to transmit signal from, say, our satellite dish to your TV. So when you're connecting to, you know, your, say, outdoor aerial, you know, your TV or your set-top box, that would be a coaxial that you would use. But the cost of coaxial is higher, but the bandwidth is greater with less interference. So that makes it perfect to use, basically, to connect to your TV and carry radio signals. It's excellent for that. But there will be a need for repeaters if you use it. Now, last one here is the fibre optic cable. So the fibre optic cable is a relatively new type of cable, and it's now mostly used for fibre optic internet connections. So the cable uses light to transmit the data, and its transparent central glass core is surrounded by protective cladding because the cabling is fairly easily damaged. But when the light enters the central core, it cannot get out until it reaches the other end. This is due to the protective cladding. So it reflects the light. So it's effectively, fibre optic cable is a guided light pipe, in fact. And that's why that, you know, your internet connection is so fast. So the problem is that fibre optic has the highest cost. And the bandwidth is much higher with the least interference, so it's excellent there. And there's less need for repeaters. But the problem is that obviously it's not been around for a long time, so it is a higher cost, and we don't know a lot about it at the moment. Okay, so let's move on to exam questions. Now, I'm going to use the shapes here so I can draw the lines. So this one, it says 4 communication media and 5 features are shown. Draw 1 or more lines for each communication media to the appropriate features. So it says 1 or more lines. Okay, now this is what you guys like to call the Cambridge troll. So please do not draw lines for the sake of drawing lines. There may be something that doesn't match, possibly, but we need to read the communication media and we need to read the feature. Okay, So we've got fibre optic cable, radio waves, copper cable and satellite. So it says can be twisted pair or coaxial, transmits light pulses, large range of wavelengths, least likely to have interference, and wireless transmission. Okay, right, so let's be sensible about this. Now, obviously the copper cable can be twisted pair or coaxial. I'm going to draw a line there straight away. Okay, now the next one is I know fibre optic transmits light pulses. I've just read it. Okay, and now I'm going to look at these two. So the radio waves and the satellite. Now, so it says satellite is wireless transmission, least likely to have interference and a large range of wavelengths. Okay, large range of wavelengths I would definitely say is radio waves. I would also say that the satellite and also radio waves would be wireless transmission, and so that would leave satellite. I would say that's wireless too, definitely. And then also it has a large range of radio waves for sure. And the least likely to have interference, I think, is quite obviously the fibre optic cable. Okay, hopefully I've got this right. If I've got one wrong, I've got one wrong. Okay, so let's take a look at the answers. Okay, so satellite is wireless transmission, large range of wavelengths, done that. Yes, that's right. So copper cable is twisted pair. Yes, the fibre optic transmits and is least likely to have interference. Radio waves, yeah, large wavelengths, wireless, and yeah, I think I've got this right. Yes, I think I do. Okay, right, next exam question. So these are so easy. Now, the problem is that here I find that some of the students, you don't explain your answers. Okay, you need to explain your answers clearly, all right, and use keywords where possible. So it says a company operates a chemical plant which has a number of processes. Local computer monitors then process and collect the data. The company transfers this data to the central computer, which is 50 kilometers away. A telecommunications company, telco, provides the cables. Engineers at telco have to decide which type of cable they use, and they considered using either copper cable or fibre optics. State two benefits of each type of cable. Each benefit must be clearly different. Okay, so if it has to be clearly different, okay, then it has to be clearly different. So, right, now, benefits of copper cable. I'm going to stick to the most simple. So for a start, there's lots of knowledge with copper cabling. Okay, so I'd say that is definitely a benefit. Okay, because it has, I'm going to say it is used universally. Okay, so that's one benefit. Now, the next benefit I'm going to include, okay, is there's many benefits to it. But for a start, it is cheaper to, now I don't want you to say it is cheaper. Why is it cheaper? You need to explain that. It is cheaper to install and what else? And it is flexible. Okay, so I'm going to put that in. Now that could be two benefits there, but I'm going to say it's cheaper to install. So maybe I'm going to put it's cheaper to install. Just leave it at that. Okay, right, now the benefits to fibre optic cable. Now, benefits of fibre optic cable is much higher bandwidth. Okay. No, I'm going to change my mind. Actually, I'm going to say benefits of fibre optic cable are, oh, I had something in my head there. Benefits of fibre optic cable are less interference, and then I'm going to explain less interference, and here I'm going to put, what was I going to say? What was in my head? Less need for repeaters due to higher bandwidth, possibly. Okay, right, so let's check my answers. Fibre optic cables that have greater bandwidth, yes. Need less signal boosting, good, I had that then. Immune to electromagnetic and other effects, higher lightweight, less consuming. Copper and K, less power consuming. So I put greater bandwidth. What was the other thing I put? That's where I might have lost a mark. No, I got my 2 marks. Copper cabling, less expensive to install. That's it, I put cheaper to install. And it's easy to install as it's more flexible. Easier to make terminations, and expertise of copper cabling is known. Yes, so we have more knowledge of it. It's been around for a very long time. So I've got all 4 marks there. Okay, guys, right, thank you very much. So please fill in the before and after sections. Complete the activities in detail, please. And then can you please attempt the exam questions and make sure you self-assess. Okay. Thank you very much.